afternoon, everybody. How are we all doing? Afternoon, Crumb. Afternoon, Moira. Moira. Brigadier, Amy, Steve, how are we doing? So I'm having a funny 5 minutes there. Yen's coming down quite nicely. Starting to pay attention, aren't they? A little bit, potentially. We'll see if this move continues. The euro's holding up pretty well, but that's the euro. It's doing okay at the moment. But pound got absolutely hammered this morning. Big drop in the pound this morning. Couldn't find any news on that. Not quite sure why, but the pound's just had a big sell-off. So some decent moves there. But yeah, some nice yen moves underway. And also US dollar. US dollar's having a good old rally today. US dollar, especially against the Canadian dollar. I've just taken 2 positions off the CAD. So I had one there and I had an aggressive one that I took on the break of yesterday's high, which I've just taken off this morning in this propulsion gap because we've hit this double top. So I wanted to get out of those because that double top is likely to entice some sellers in. Whether that remains a double top or whether we pull back and rally, don't know. But I've got out of those positions. I can add them back on if it drops. So if we get back down to here, add back again and take them off again. Earn twice as much money. Afternoon, Brian. Afternoon, Potgator. Fetch, how are we doing? Right. So this morning, news-wise, not a great deal. Effective Fed fund rate 5% June 27th versus 5% June 26th. So that's a really useful bit of news, isn't it? Why bother? So we're expecting exactly the same rate as we were the other day. Thanks for that. Why even bother printing it? It takes more effort to print that useless piece of information than it does to actually read it. So no news this morning at all of any interest whatsoever. S&P have not downgraded China, but affirmed they are an A status, which is outlook stable. So we don't deal with the yen anyway. Apart from that, there's nothing. So no news. Boring this morning. And the market was massively boring this morning. We went totally sideways for about 4 hours, and then all of a sudden the pound started collapsing and the US dollar started rallying. So they started some moves, but it took ages. This afternoon, 2:30 in 6 minutes time, when the market opens in New York, we have the talking heads at the ECB conference. So everybody's talking. No idea about order or anything. So at any point in any of these talks today, they could drop some kind of bombshell which changes the outlook. May absolutely say nothing of any interest whatsoever. The main one I'm interested in is what Ueda says from the Bank of Japan. So, but apart from that, there's no other news today. We've got Lagarde speaking again later on, but nothing's going to come out of that she hasn't already said. So, be interesting one to see what happens with the US markets today, as whether the US actually dumps orders at the beginning or whether they wait for this lot to talk and then decide to move the market. So we'll see. DAX this morning, break even, really. Just we had a little whipsaw at the beginning, pushed up, took a TP half an hour ago. There was an opportunity to get out with some profit this morning, but I wanted to see if it would rally because looking for that big move up into these gap fills on the DAX. So we're still waiting for these gap fill moves. So with that big old rally there, that one got filled today, seeing if they could maybe move up into this area, which would have been a nice little take profit, but didn't manage to get there. Flagging at the moment. So a little bit of a flag, might get a break. Depends what the US indices do this afternoon, which we should find out soon. So that's where everything is. There's loads of ADRs. We looked at half of these ADRs this morning, but there's a few more happened throughout the day now. So 4 minutes to the open. There's a few weekly ranges hit as well. We had 2 this morning. We've now got another 2. So let's look at the weeklies first. Euro odd, that's still rallying. This is the area that we looked at this morning for potential bounce, which was this double top. We pushed up into it, went beyond the 125, pulled back down again, and it's rallying again at the moment. So we're back up double top right now. The market has obviously limit orders triggered at the highs. They haven't held so far, but that high is holding. So we might just get a move down. Anybody know what this chart pattern's called? Quiz time. Let me just have a bit of my coffee while I'm waiting. Eagerly watching the chat. Not an M. Give you a clue. Christian Bale. Well, almost. Crom. It's half a Batman. It only becomes a Batman when the right cowl completes. Love espressos. It's not a lose your account pattern, no. So that's half a Batman. So the Batman pattern basically is left ear, right ear. So it's basically kind of like a scoop in the middle. And if it completes, what we will get off of this high here. So basically it's a big strong move into a high with a pullback, which just basically rounds into a double top. And then it drops back down again. So kind of like Batman. There you go. Really bad drawing. So that might play out. If that plays out, it's a reversal pattern basically. So it tends to form a peak formation high if it happens. But so we got that one, Euro odd. Now it's wasted 2 minutes. Euro Swiss. Well, I never. Anybody know what that pattern's called? So Euro Swiss doing the same thing. That has double topped, and we have come straight off of yesterday's high. So reversal alert on that has triggered already. No, it hasn't. Just about to trigger on M5 there. Beautiful M pattern reversal if that triggers. Drop. So Euro Swiss looks good for a short. Euro pound. These have all hit weekly highs, by the way. This is why we're looking at these. So there's your weekly. That's still rallying like crazy. Really weak pound at the moment. We've had this good strength in the euro this morning. So that one's just running up into a potential resistance area here. So these lows here and that low somewhere around 150 to 125 ADR. Good for a short. And the other weekly hit is the Euro New Zealand. New Zealand, we know, has been massively weak overnight. That is still flying. Got one short on that already. Massively extended on the hourly RSI. We looked at this morning. That monthly high is an absolutely perfect entry. So if you took the first reversal alert today at 150 ADR, we're pushing up to 200 ADR now. Take a second entry there and exit on the pullback down into this area. Either that or that. You can see my TP basically is there in this propulsion gap. Right, so those are your weeklies. We'll have a look at the ADRs in a minute. Let's just have a look at the US Open. That was quick. I missed it. So the NASDAQ trying to go high. S&P not broken out of the pre-market yet. Dow gone short. So 5 or 15-minute pre-market break is short on the Dow Jones. NASDAQ, your 515 is long. S&P, you haven't gone anywhere yet. So let's have a quick look at the Dow if we're going short. So there's your break on the 15-minute pre-market with the opening range breakout EA. Short play basically into yesterday's, previous day's high basically, which is this blue dotted line here. So this area here, we pushed up into it, rejected, pushed up, put a high in, pushed up, retested the high, broke it. If that's going to act as support, that's where we're going to get the bounce, somewhere around that area there. So we'll find limit order triggers down there in all likelihood. So there's your downside target 1. If it's going to basically just be a flag break move to the downside, obviously ADR today is last week's low and yesterday's low, previous day's low. So just basically lows at the minute, downside targets. That's yesterday's low, previous day's low, and last week's low. So that whole section down there, you're going to find some buyers. It's coming down really hard today. See what the other indices are up to. S&P broken short. NASDAQ's trying to go long, but really not actually making any headway. So I'd look at a good sell on the NASDAQ there. That's really trying to go, and it's not going to. It's going to get dragged down by these two, surely. Unlikely the NASDAQ's going to be able to rally when the rest of the Simpsons. The rest of the Simpsons. I just read your comment, Brian. The rest of the market is selling on. Bart Simpson pattern. Could be a Bart Simpson pattern, but it would need to be more like that, wouldn't it? Really? So that's a quadruple top. We call that a Bart Simpson? If you can find a quadruple top. They don't appear that often. Okay, nice break on the Dow. So we are down at that previous day's high, which it's finding a little bit of support at, not a lot. So anywhere around here, basically, if we are going to, basically, this is an accumulation break. So we're looking basically this here would be limit orders triggering for the buyers to add to their buy positions that they use to make that go higher. So basically sellers, accumulation, price discovery long, that is either going to succeed or it's going to fail. It's getting bought up at the minute. Wow. That NAS. Total black sheep of the family at the moment. The only one going along. Everything else is trying to dump. Dow, NASDAQ, DAX trying to rally as well. So this might be a fake move to the downside at the moment and just get bought up. See what happens. So your 5-minute opening ranges today, you've got 40 seconds left on these candles. So 5-minute opening range is pretty tight on the S&P. Not too bad on the Dow and the NASDAQ. Fairly big, but so those will be your breaks if you're going to take the 5-minute opening range breakouts. Right, that is really rallying. So if this continues to push up into those highs, this S&P is probably going to turn around. One of these is going to be in control. These two usually move together. So either the S&P is the dominant force and it will drag the NASDAQ down, or the NASDAQ is the dominant force and it will drag the S&P back up. So we'll see what happens. So there's your 5-minute opening range on the NASDAQ. It's selling down at the moment. Pulling back on the Dow. A lot of volatility. So see if there's any news coming out. So we haven't started the ECB forum yet. Really rallying. I think this S&P might turn around. This NAS has got a lot of power today. So going long on the NASDAQ by the looks of things on the 5-minute ORB. We go, triggered long. So can't really win on these two today because highly likely these will run together. So we're short there, long there. One of them's going to win, isn't it? If assuming we get a run, obviously. Burke, Your EA didn't took the pre-market trade on the NASDAQ. Yeah, no, this one didn't here, no, because the range was too tight there. So analyzed the range, and the range was too tight. So on the NASDAQ, where are we? So the 5-minute range, so the minimum range size I want to see is 194, so 19 points, which is 0.8 of an ADR. So the first 5-minute range was 12 points. The second 10-minute range was 14 points, and the third 15-minute pre-market range was also 14 points. All three of those below 19 points. So skipped those, and then the range of the NASDAQ 5-minute ORB, which is there. Minimum is 19 points. The maximum range I want to trade is 48 points, which is 0.2. Which is 20% of its average daily range. So the opening range on the 5 minutes was 43 points, which is below 48 and above 19. So it took the 5-minute opening range break. So that met the conditions. That didn't. And now it's all frozen up. Euro pound, that was an ADR, I think. Yeah, Euro pound 125 ADR. We'll have a look at those, all these ADRs in a minute, because there's some good opportunities to get into some of these ADRs today. Wait for this to reconnect. There we go. So NASDAQ, need to watch the pre-market, the Globex high, which is there. If this is going to rally and break today's high, the S&P will turn tail and run as well with it. So that will stop out. We'll flip long on the S&P. Exactly the same trade as this morning on the DAX, basically. So it took the short, fake move, broke out long, made profit on the long position. So just watch this high on the NAS. We might get some sellers stepping in here. If not, we're looking at running up to yesterday's high, which is there. That is also the previous day's level as well. So there's two levels there. That's yesterday's high, and then just above it is the previous day's high. The NASDAQ, so it's a double top, which is a high of the previous. So that's the Globex high. We pushed up into the Globex high and rejected it. Then we pushed up yesterday, double topped on yesterday's high, rejected it. So this is a really strong level of resistance there, two dotted lines there. So if we do run up, that is where I would expect to see some limits trigger. So if that doesn't hold, we should be able to run up to there today, which is 1,500 round number, 15,000 rather, round number. So far, though, not an awful lot of direction after that initial opening range. So we're an inside bar on the Dow, higher low, higher high on the NASDAQ, which has run straight into the Globex highs and rejected at the moment. And the S&P is an inside bar. So indecision everywhere at the minute. Come back to that in a sec. We'll just let that play out. Opened an Apex challenge yesterday using Rhythmic and Ninja Trader. Brain hurts. Your brain will be in all sorts of pain with Rhythmic and Ninja Trader for a long time. Futures trading is like driving a stripped out car with a roll cage in it. Yeah, there's no air conditioning, there's no door handles, there's no window winders. Basically, you're dumped in, gone, here you go, here's the futures market. Holy crap, I just lost $700. Won't do that again. Oh, I can't do anything less than that because that's a minimum contract size. Blown account. Okay, reset. That's basically how it goes when you start trading futures. Good luck. do some courses if you want to do futures. It's a totally different game. Afternoon, Neo. So we can't do that with the current ORB. We have to do it manually. Are you talking about the ranges? Yeah. The ORB doesn't do any of that. All that is, I'm confusing you, aren't I, Burke? You ask a lot of questions about this every day. This is a development EA I am using as a test bed to find out if there is an edge on range sizes using ADR. Yeah, I'm testing stuff. That's all it is. So ignore it. The ranges. So if you were today trading the 15-minute pre-market on the NASDAQ, you cannot filter by range size. You would have to do it manually. But what would have happened today is you would have gone short, pushed up, stopped out, flipped long, and made an absolute fortune. Yeah, that's what would have happened to you if you had been trading the pre-market 5 or 15 on the NASDAQ. My version didn't make any money on it. So your version, the ORB EA that you've got, is better than my version. On the DAX, on the Dow, you would have gone short off the 15-minute or the 5-minute ORB. And immediately you would have just made 2R. So that would have made you a 1R loss and a probably 3R return. That has made you a 2R return. This one, you're short at the moment. So this is what I mean. The opening range breakout EA works absolutely fine. Just carry on using it. Ignore all of this crap. I'm just testing it. But it's exactly the same stuff. It's just I've put a calculation in there that lost me 3R today. Yeah, I'm not saying this is any better or worse. This is a testing EA. This is for me to develop with, right? And test and get data, all that sort of stuff. So ignore it. You're better off just trading ORB. The edge is there. Use it. Right. ADRs. Like a caterum. Exactly. Yeah. Trading the futures market is like a caterum. I've been in a caterum, and and believe me, when you put your foot down on a caterum, it's like that. And when you go like that with a caterum, you go like that. It's brilliant. Great fun, but probably better to learn to drive, not do your driving test in a caterum. So futures is exactly like Virginia has just said. You need to learn to drive before you trade the futures market, because it will just suck your life. Thanks for that vote of confidence. But on the advantageous side, Apex is cheap as chips. Yeah, you're paying like $50 for a chance to have a go at the futures market. You haven't got to buy data. You haven't got to do anything. So basically, Apex is probably the best test bed for you to decide whether futures is for you or not. It's really good. Apex is cheap as hell. There's a link on. I think I've still got the link on my recommendations to Apex. No, I replaced it. So I've replaced Apex with Take Profit Trader, basically. Their trading conditions, rules, and payouts are much better than Apex. I used to trade with Apex all the time. I've removed them from here and replaced them with Take Profit Trader. This is if I was going to use a prop firm for futures, these are the guys. Still the same thing. You can use Tradeovate, you can use TradingView, you can use NinjaTrader, Rhythmic, everything. They provide links to all services. You can buy level 2 data through them. It links in with Jigsaw, which is the platform that I use for futures trading. It's all the same stuff. All these futures companies offer you 50% off. Apex will offer you 80% off at points in time because they know you're going to blow the accounts. Because futures is, you're limited on futures to the number of contracts you can trade. So everybody goes in fast and hard all the time. And it's very, very, very difficult. You've got to be so disciplined. Much better off trading CFDs. But it's more expensive. Yes, I know. Sorry, this is... if these questions are annoying. No, they're not annoying, Burke. It's just, like I said, this is for me to develop with, and I'm testing stuff. I don't know if it's got any edge that's any better than anything else at the moment. I don't think it has, to be honest. I think you're better off just taking everything. I'm just trying to find if there is a way to smooth that profit curve a little bit with the ORB EA. And you can replicate what I'm doing in here by using the minimum and maximum sizes. Yeah. So in the opening range breakout EA, you have filters in there for minimum and maximum range. Yeah. So you can use these. All that my new version does, which is different, yeah, is so there you've got minimum range and maximum range. Okay. All that my version here does differently is the minimum and maximum are based on ADR. So you know what the ADR calculation is. So you can replicate this. 0.08 is a minimum, 0.2 is a maximum. So if you convert that, you can do this yourself, all these calculations in here. Yeah. And just put in the actual pip numbers yourself. And that does the same thing as I'm doing. I've just built an EA to backtest it and just do it quick, if you like. So that's what I'm testing. Everything else is pretty much the same. Apart from the opening range to use is only done as a percentage of the opening range, whereas in my version, it's done as ADR. But as I said this morning, if you weren't here, but if you put in 170, for example, in there, you're going to get a bigger than the range, which is replicating pretty much using what I'm using. You can do it all with the ORB. I've just built something to make it more scientific. But it's the same thing. I'm trading the pre-market open and the open. My experience of the Caterham, if you spit on the ground, it will splash back and hit you in the face. Yeah, so close to the ground it is. They're brilliant. I went on a drifting course in a Caterham, which was fantastic. Just the thing, you just literally, you turn the steering wheel and you go like that with the accelerator and you just go, whee! They are like, it's like driving a remote control car. Fantastic. Brian, traded futures in the past, been a while. First challenge is dust off the old skill set. Yeah, exactly. Just get used to it again. Right, so while we're waiting for these ranges to this market to decide what the hell it's doing, which is looks like it's rejecting. So in the real world right now, I would shut that short on the S&P because that looks like a low high rejection on the NASDAQ, but this is not really going anywhere at the moment. So total indecision, still hedged on these two indices together, but looks like it wants to go long, doesn't it? A bit worried the Dow's going short though. Just coming into a support on the Dow by the looks of things. I've drawn a line there for some reason. That's 2 week ago's low. That's not particularly great support, that. So ignore that one. New lows on the Dow. Oh, confusion today. Let that bed in. So there's your 15-minute opening range. So you're an inside bar basically on that 15-minute opening range. No idea where that's going. S&P looks like it wants to drive short. So confusion everywhere at the minute, which is kind of what I suspected might happen because obviously we're waiting for this lot to crack on. Is this a Q&A? No, it doesn't. I don't know. Just trying to see. That's a wader. Mister, I'm about to press the button and nuke everybody that is shorting the yen. He's got his finger on the Forex nuke button at the moment. Yeah, so there is a panel Good old Bailey. Yeah, there is a panel there, basically. So we might get a Q&A session. That's when you tend to get the good stuff. So we'll see. So what's been said so far? Hike in July, that's fine for the ECB. We believe there is more restriction coming driven by the labour market. I wouldn't take moving at consecutive meetings off the table. So a double increase on the US. I'm not considering a rate pause at the moment from Lagarde. So all bullish US, all bullish Euro so far. Core inflation is much stickier, bearish pound. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go. So these markets might suddenly pop, all of them, in any direction at any time. So it could be a bit of a whippy one, or it could be a massive sudden rally and absolute fortune made. So fingers crossed. Right, ADRs. Aussie dollar CAD. We had that off of ADR this morning. We couldn't really get into any of these today. These Aussies, the reversal alerts were up here because of the news event on the Australian dollar. So there was no entries. We have just gone long there on this reversal alert. So during this accumulation, the market reversal alerts, EA, an indicator, moves that down there. Yeah, and we just had a reversal alert trigger there. So long Aussie dollar CAD now. Aussie dollar Swiss, haven't had the reversal alert on that one yet. So that will trigger there. We're double bottoming off of ADR on that one. Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar. That's already short on that. No, sorry. Closed out long. So I've just closed out the long from Monday. So that was the RSI M5 mean reversion entry. That's just closed out. Look at that for a TPA. Look at that. We need an extreme close-up of that one. Look at that for an exit. Doesn't get much better than that, does it? Wow. I'll take it. So yeah, exited the long on the Aussie New Zealand to the pip. Aussie dollar US dollar, well I didn't, the EA did. Aussie dollar US dollar, we've just had a reversal alert on that one. So if you're using the ADR set file on the market reversal alerts EA, that would have been your entry long. Big gap to fill. Are you looking for a third to half an ADR move on that, which is 36 for half an ADR? There's your entry. Filling that gap is 45, so there's plenty of room on that. Euro odd. Short on that one, that is an H1M5 mean reversion entry, so that's extended on the hourly. Short there. Just put TP on that. TP. Tricky that. I mean, that's the obvious spot there. You got these propulsion gaps. Then there's this kind of big accumulation there. So we've got to break through that level before we can get back down to test this area here. So if you want to be conservative on this, which is probably the best thing to do, just look for a move back down into there. So Euro odd extended 125 ADR. Euro pound extended and still going. So there's no alert on this yet. It's just parabolic at the minute. So just wait. We're 125 ADR. That'll be your first entry. Target wherever you want down there. Third, half an ADR, something like that. Euro pound, that is. Euro New Zealand. So this is kind of the perfect storm today. Euro's been massively strong. New Zealand dollar has been massively weak. Entry's gone in there. So you had a reversal alert there. You can see that's first entry. And then it's basically pushed straight back up again and is sitting around 175 ADR at the moment. So next entry short on that is going to be there. Yeah, so that's triple topped basically. So that's holding that high. Target wherever you want really to the downside. So that's 175, huge extension on that one. If you look at it on the hourly, that's your target. So this high, We rejected, pushed up again, accumulated. So this is a 5-day accumulation. Then we suddenly ran at it and smashed that level. So this would be where I would expect to come back and retest for a rally back up again. So you can see my TP is there, just above that high in this propulsion gap. Pound odd, got short on that already, scaled out a little bit on that. So let's come off the monthly high. So that's the double top. Propulsion gaps down there on the hourly. So there's my TP in that one. Obviously there's a second one down there, and then we've got all this which hasn't actually been retested for ages. So there's plenty of downside targets on it. Pound odd, then pound New Zealand. Again, usually take one of these or the other. Pound New Zealand short, that's already triggered this morning. There's your reversal alert up there. I got in there, so there was a reversal alert there, that candle, and then obviously we pushed up. Second reversal alert went in pretty much at the same level. So there's your M pattern. Take that one. There's the retest. TP in the propulsion there. That's ADR basically, TP. Downside. Hourly. So this propulsion gap basically somewhere in there I'd expect to get a rally. If we're going to rally long and continue going long, that would be where I'd look to get out. Pound US collapsing. There's a reversal alert, probably not too far away. Yes, tricky. So you've had an outside bar basically go in there, which is why that looks a bit odd, that reversal alert. So really a break of that high is exactly what you want, and then a push back up again. But this pound is really weak. But we've got obviously Bailey talking, we've got Powell talking, everybody's talking at the moment, so this could fly in any direction at any time. So when you get the reversal alert, it's going to be kind of up here. So just watch these lows basically as you push up. There's no bias, pound US dollar, no advantage in either direction, so it could go either way. This could easily rally straight back up into those highs, depending on what happens over the next couple of weeks. So there's no advantage either way on that one. New Zealand dollars, all the New Zealand dollars absolutely collapsed today. So every single one of these is an ADR. So all of them down at lows. You've had a reversal alert there and a retest on the New Zealand dollar CAD. Again, the bigger, the faster the move, usually the faster the snapback. Watch that level there. Otherwise, that propulsion gap is your target at the moment. New Zealand dollar Swiss, same thing. Propulsion target. Yeah, you've had a reversal alert on that already, which is invalidated. So your reversal alert would have been on that candle there. So that would have been the entry. We haven't gone anywhere yet. So just double bottomed. So if you didn't get in on that, there's your next one. Same place basically. Double bottom. Target in that propulsion. So ADR to the move to the upside. New Zealand dollar Swiss is extended on the hourly now as well. RSI extension. New Zealand dollar yen, that's just turning off of 125 ADR. Got good support coming up here as well. And then we've got previous week's low at 200 ADR. So first entry, second entry, push back up into propulsion. If you want to go long, I would probably refrain from longs on yens if you can. New Zealand dollar, US dollar, that's come down very, very hard. US dollar's had a good rally. New Zealand, as we know, has been massively weak. So big, strong push down on that one, 150 ADR. M5, you're just about to get the reversal alert on that one there, which is going to trigger. If it doesn't, obviously just wait, but that'll be your entry. I've got buy on this already, triggered there this morning. So already got an entry on it. TP up here. So if you look where the TP is on the hourly chart, it's up in this propulsion here. So this is where you might find support somewhere around this area. sorry, resistance somewhere around that area. Looking for a retest of that propulsion gap. If it's going to continue down, that's where we'll bounce from. And US dollar CAD. So US dollar CAD, I've just reset. So basically, I've just reset all the EAs running on this account, because what I've decided to do is basically reduce the risk on this account down to 0.1% and trade every instrument. And I've also extended the drawdown control, automated drawdown control, to 1.5 ADR from 1 ADR, and I've removed targeting completely. Actually, I haven't removed targeting completely. I've left targeting at 1.5 ADR. Basically, it's not going to get out automatically. I'm going to be setting the TPs. So because I've reset it, obviously it's now taken a short, because I've said trade in both directions and it's reset the variables. So this has now gone short as well. So I'm hedged on the US dollar CAD, which is fine. So long exit is up there. I'm looking for this high. Short pull back down to there. So let's put the TP to the downside down there. So ideally on this, what will happen is it will pull back, hit that TP, and then I'll be able to get a long on, getting back up. So yeah, US dollar CAD, that's extended. Obviously, we've just had the 5-minute reversal alert on that one there. So there's your M. Entry short. Right, so that's your ADRs. Let's have a quick look at what the indices are up to. Hedged on the S&P now. So just triggered the longs. Dow still short. NAS still long. It's not going anywhere, is it? The market's not happy to go anywhere until the talking heads have finished. So I think we're going to have to wait for that ECB forum to complete. Just curious as to whether this is a Q&A panel or not. Yeah, there is. Oh no, that's the frequently asked questions. Just seeing if there's an actual timescale. There's not. So it'd be interesting to see if we do have a panel Q&A on that, because that's where we're going to get some movement. They'll be asking some dodgy questions. So yeah, no movement on the indices at the minute. We're just going to have to wait for them to finish talking. We'll look at the RSIs. There's loads of those as well. Catch up on the chat. Robert, I just want to say thank you for your work. Cool. Started testing the EA today. Good luck. EU, a bit tricky with the ORB today. Thought the spread was going to knock me out, but I'm still in a short, almost 2R. Euro US dollar. Tricky one, that. So nice break. Gave you a 1R basically, didn't it? But then we came up. Looking good. Days like this, I would kind of, if you get 2R on a day like this, it's worth taking, isn't it? But then again, all of a sudden that'll just collapse down to ADR and you'll be cursing having taken it. Good manual strategy, that. I think you've got to kind of look at where you are and look at what money you've made and decide. But today is going to be fairly volatile, I think, on Euro US dollar when these guys have finished talking. So that could go absolutely flying in either direction today. Right, so I went through most of these this morning. There's a few more lit up, which are New Zealand dollars, basically. So I'm just going to whiz through them because we've already seen a lot of these hourlies. We've looked at them already because they are ADR hits. We've looked at a lot of these 4 hours because they're ADR hits. So you can see that everything that's kind of extended on the hourly, the vast majority of them are extended on the 4 hours as well, because we've had sustained pushes on them. So Aussie dollar CAD extended. That's an ADR hit today, which has already bounced. So that's extended on the 4 hour. Good looking long opportunity. Already got 3 positions on that, waiting for a rally. Aussie dollar Swiss. There's an opportunity to get in on the 4 hour there. Not quite extended enough, but that's an ADR hit as well. Aussie dollar US dollar. Again, ADR hit. 4 hour RSI extension. Hourly RSI extension. Lovely target to the upside. So just wait for reverse alerts for a potential long on that one. Euro odd. Again, ADR hit to the upside. 4 hour RSI is above 80. We're up at that double top resistance with a monthly high and a 2-month high coming up. So first entry, second entry, third entry, or fourth, or however many you want to get in. But if that massive rally that we haven't had a profit take on yet doesn't have a profit take, by the time you get there, you're going to get one. So very nice extension, good short. First entry gone in on that one. Euro CAD extended on the 4 hour, extended on the hourly. Again, first entry gone in on that one. We've got levels coming up. That previous monthly low that's 2 months ago's low. Didn't really get respected. We accumulated around it for 2 weeks, but not really been respected. So I wouldn't really look at that level. That's kind of where I would look at more, which is that propulsion gap, pretty much where we are at the moment for potentially a bounce down. So this is kind of price discovery back up into price discovery. So we're accumulating, broken down, accumulated again. Now we're trying to get back up again. We've got to get through that where all those sellers decided to start a move. So if they are still short, they're not going to let it get back above there. They're going to rally it back down again. So, but euro is bullish. Canadian dollar, no idea at the moment on the CAD. So it depends whether or not the US dollar rallies, and that will take the CAD with it. So if we get a strong CAD, we're going to get Euro CAD coming down. But difficult to call that one. Euro pound. Again, same thing. Euro bullish, pound also bullish, except for some reason today the pound's had a really big drop. Not quite sure if Bailey said something. The guard's talking at the moment. But we didn't get any news really about it, about anything particularly exciting from UK today. Nothing exciting there yet. So euro pound is extended on the 4 hour to the 75 level now. We're above the 75 level on the hourly. So nice big parabolic move. Looking for just some kind of pullback on that one. Haven't got a TP set on that. So test that area basically. So that's a bit too close for a TP. So either that is going to hold and we're just going to rally for another level, in which case add another one and come back down into there. Or if that doesn't hold, we're looking to come back down into that high. But we've got these propulsion gaps to the downside for some time in the future as well, but not going to hold it that long. It's euro pound, euro New Zealand. So this is massively extended at the moment. Huge extension above 80 on the hourly, as you can see on the RSI dash. Fully extended on both at the moment. Really, really, really stretched this euro New Zealand. So this is the perfect storm at the moment. We've had all this massive bullishness on the euro. And as it's happened, the Australian dollar interest rates have come down, which has driven the New Zealand dollar down dramatically. So this has been a huge rally on the euro at the same time as a huge drop on the New Zealand double bubble. Currency strength obviously determines this one is going to move twice as far as everything else. So massive extension. Yeah. So we're looking for this type of movement. And then at some point, we're going to get a pullback on it. So first entry's gone in. If it needs more, we'll do so. Wait for that pullback. Exit somewhere around these highs in that propulsion gap. Pound odd is extended on the 4 hour. Not anymore. So that was a double top off of the monthly high. Coming down very, very nicely. Target back down in this propulsion gap. But that's not the greatest extension in the world. And that is going to need some Australian dollar strength. Pound New Zealand, same thing, same trade basically. Looking for it to come back down into propulsion. So 50% of that move back down into these highs. Pound US dollar extended to the downside on the 4-hour. Hourly RSI extension below 25. So that's a good looking long opportunity. Just coming down into potential resistance here. So we've got this accumulation break there, which it looks like it's going to invalidate. So that high there would be kind of resistance levels previously, which will turn into support potentially on the way back down for a bounce. This high would be where I would look to get out on a quick scalp into that propulsion gap. So if it gets further down, obviously, the further down you get, the more profit you're going to make. So pound US dollar nicely extended. So, you know, whenever we get down to these, same as all these trades you can see on the screen here. So there's a short there, exit. There's a long there, exit. There's a short there, exit. The short there, that one I exited because I think there was news coming. Didn't like the look of it. So that one there, second entry was there, and again exited that one. Didn't like the look of it. Just worried about shorting the pound basically. But if you'd have taken that one and that one, the scale out, the average was there, so you'd have been out there. You're definitely out now. But just doing the inverse now. So continuation move will be something like that. So somewhere around here, we're going to rally from, aren't we? So extended on the RSI, good opportunity to start getting in longs on it. And obviously that depends on what happens with the US dollar, which we don't know at the moment because it's a big question mark over that. New Zealand dollar CAD is extended on the 4-hour to the downside. That's a double bottom. So we're just getting a double bottom bounce here. This, I think, is an old level. Yeah. So this high here, this low here, we've reacted off of that level. We sort of accumulated and bounced off of that level multiple times. Accumulated around it, tried again, failed, came back up, tested it, finally broke through it, bounced. Yeah, so it's just a reactionary level in the past. May or may not hold, but it's just extended on the 4-hour, so it's not the greatest entry in the world at the moment. It's not extended on the hourly enough to sort of get into, but it is an ADR reversal. So you've had your reversal alert in there on the 5-minute. Back here, and there's your retest. So good looking long opportunity, but it's not extended on the RSI, so it's just an ADR reversal. It's a scalp. You don't want to stay in it for too long. Look for a quarter or a third of an ADR, half an ADR. Half an ADR, and this is 34. That's 30. So pulling back into that accumulation is a nice little scalp. But it is extended on the 4-hour. New Zealand dollar Swiss is extended on the hourly and the 4-hourly. So that is a monthly double bottom bounce. So yeah, that looks really good for a long. Only just extended on the 4-hour and only just extended on the hourly. We are down below the 25 level though, so that'll be a good looking long opportunity. M5 reverse alert is just about to trigger on that one, potentially. So that's your double bottom bounce from the monthly level. So that's the first touch. Limit orders triggered, driven it away. We're retesting. Limit orders are triggering, driving it away again. So that will either hold and off we go, or it won't. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's getting later. So that's a nice level, that. Yeah. So that monthly low, we've got that backup. We looked at this one this morning. We've got this backup monthly low here as well. So this whole area here, yeah, we've bought from it twice. We're retesting it again. So it's kind of forming a descending wedge at the moment. So another rally up into that. If it hits it again, probably will break it, but probably going to get a bounce from it here first. So looks good. New Zealand dollar yen is extended to the downside. Up to you if you want to take longs, i.e. if you want to short the yen. You've kind of missed the party, but it could go, but Oeda's not going to let it run much further, so I wouldn't go long. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. That's coming down. New Zealand dollar very, very weak. We've had that US dollar rally during London, which started late London. So that's coming down very nice into propulsion at the moment. We are extended on the hourly. So again, same as this trade here, extended, took 3 positions, exit. First position, second would be down at 200 ADR, which is that low. Third at the monthly low if needed. So if it doesn't go from here, and it doesn't go from here, likely to go from there because it will be massively extended. If it hasn't done a profit take move by the time it gets all the way down to there, we're going to be down here somewhere. We don't get down there very often. There's not any reason the New Zealand dollar should be that weak. Yes, we've had decent inflation figures reducing from the Australian dollar, but there's nothing massively bullish about the US at the moment. So pound Swiss, we've just had an ADR on the pound Swiss. Where did I get to? New Zealand US. So pound Swiss ADR, that's a double bottom. So previous day's low, solid sort of 4 hours down on that pound. So good looking opportunity for a long on an ADR reversal. So drop down M5. Your reversal is going to be there. A nice quick tight entry, scalp play back up into there, which would be half an ADR is 40. That's 30. So about a third of an ADR. That's a good support if ever I've seen one. So that propulsion gap has already been retested. So any retest of that, you're likely to get out of it. So try not, I wouldn't go long, much longer than that really. New Zealand US, we've looked at New Zealand dollar CAD. Sorry, US dollar CAD rather. So as we looked at this one this morning, or a minute ago, this is an ADR hit to the upside, short, but it's also scaled out of some longs on that push. So this is a double top at the moment. So we need to decide whether or not this is going to continue this downward movement. No reason why this should be so weak, this US against the Canadian dollar. Very nicely extended to the upside, so should be getting some kind of pullback on it, but I would kind of bet that is probably your peak formation low for the moment. They're going to want to come back up and retest all this area up here, I would imagine. So, but it really depends what the US says, what the Fed says at the minute. There's nothing bullish coming out about the Fed from the Fed at the minute. Come back up into extreme greed. Nothing new coming out of that at the moment. So that's your US dollar CAD. So that's hourly RSI extension to the upside. So quick short, back down. Potentially look for longs, I would on that one. And US dollar yen. Again, US dollar yen extended to the upside. Good looking short opportunity. So Ueda is sitting there now next to Powell, chatting away. Yeah, we're going to continue selling the yen, and there's nothing you can do about it, basically, is what he's saying. I was hoping Ueda was going to come in then, but he's not. And Ueda's going to say, you want to bet? And any moment now, if you carry on pushing us, we will just collapse the US dollar against the yen. So we're just waiting, basically, for the minute, and we are still waiting. Don't know how long we're going to have to wait, but this is not going to continue to do this much longer. Everything else is coming down. We are getting some strength in that yen. Euro's holding up, but look at how strong the euro is today, yeah? If you look at all the euro pairs today, so euro odd, good push up. Euro CAD, good push up. Euro Swiss, good push up. It's coming down now at the moment, though. Euro pound, obviously going parabolic. Euro New Zealand, massive push up. Euro US dollar, that hasn't because US dollar's rallied. Look at the euro yen. No movement. No progress. Shows you how strong the yen is. If the euro's rallying at the moment, it's not managing to make any ground against the yen. So we know that that yen is strong. And we can see it's strong because everything else is coming down against it as well. It's having a little bit of a pullback at the moment. But that US dollar is where all the money's going at the moment. So if that continues to go, we will be coming back down. So some good moves potentially on these yen pairs, but it's a real waiting game. If you go long on it, you know, you could get another ADR, 2 ADR maybe. We've no idea, but they can't keep pushing it forever. So long waiting game on that one. Wow, S&P. Okay. There you go. So there's a prime example, Burke. This is no better. Look, double-ended stop out. Even with the new rules and analysis that I'm doing, still double-ended stop out. There's nothing I can do to predict the future of any movement. Yeah. So we went short and basically pushed down. Then we got our long triggered. We came down. We stopped out of our long. And now we pushed up and we stopped out of our short. But look at that. Look at that stop out. Pretty much to the pip. So that is 0.2, 20% of an average daily range movement, which is kind of the sweet spot that I found. And then it's rallied. Luck. That was unlucky. If it had been 0.21, I would be long on that now. Hopefully the NASDAQ's going to save us today. So NASDAQ's gone long. S&P is trying to go long at the moment. The Dow has absolutely no idea what it wants to do. DAX is just testing the Frankfurt highs. So all looks like longs today, apart from the Dow, which is coming down. So there's all your analysis done. Tricky today. New highs on the DAX. So it looks like DAX is going for that gap fill. Oil, absolutely nothing today. Real nasty whipsawing, but look at where it bounced. Yeah, I was watching this like a hawk this morning. I'm going to take another trade on this. So probably best you don't. But I'm going to get in on the break of that high. So I was watching this this morning on my other monitor, ready to jump in short, basically, if we broke that monthly low. So obviously this low that we're looking at here, let's go out to the 4 hours so we can see better. So this low here that we tapped into again, and then we broke down price discovery, used it as support, came back down, tested it, came back down, tested it, tested it, tested it. It isn't going anywhere, this low. I was waiting for this to break down below that low, and I was going to just hit the short button, basically stop above that high, because if that had broken, that was an easy 175 ADR downward move, easy money. It didn't break. So I was watching it, and the last hour, basically, while I've been on, we've retested it, pushed back up again, and are holding. So taking a break of that high. So I was making a decision today. Either that is a short or a long. It's got to go somewhere. We've got oil inventories in 5 minutes. Okay, so in 5 minutes time, this is going to rally one way or the other. So Wednesday, 3:30, crude oil inventories. We always get them. We've got 5 minutes to go. So I'm going to go long on this. If we get a, doesn't matter what the figures are on oil. They don't pay any attention to what the figures are, but they do use the oil news to move the market. So I'm looking for a break of this candle. So they've cleared the decks today. So anybody that's entered the market basically today is stopped out long, stopped out short. So they've cleared the decks. They're ready for a move. That move is either going to come back up and try and retest these highs, or we're going to break those lows and go for that monthly level or old yearly level. Basically, it's the yearly low is what we're going to aim for. If we break that yearly low, there's nowhere to go. Yeah, at $65 a barrel, that's it. There is no lower than that. So this low here we looked at this morning is 64.40. We break that, that's it. This oil is officially stuffed, isn't it? So forget these $95 a barrel targets that Goldman Sachs and everybody's called back in December last year. It's not getting there, is it? We're 6 months into the year and we haven't made any progress whatsoever. The maximum we've managed to get to is $83 a barrel. So in the next 5 minutes, we're going to get some movement. Whatever happens, long, stop under the low, short, stop above that high. That's probably, I think, going to be the start of the next move. Because this is not holding. This is holding rather. This is not breaking this level. They don't seem to be able to get back down below this 67 a barrel. So really good opportunity on oil. So 68. So 68.50 basically is the high. So anything above 68.50, good looking buy opportunity. Again, standard risk reward, yeah. So stick a fib on it if you've got a fib with a risk reward on it. Stop down there underneath those. Give it a bit of breathing room. So if we come and test those highs, it's 2 and a bit R. If we come and test the monthlies, it's 3R. Yeah, if we break out down below those lows, you're only looking at sort of 1R basically before you hit that support. But if that support breaks, it's gone. It'll be off. Let's watch the oil inventories over here. 3 minutes. Nothing more out of Lagarde or any of that lot. They're just waffling on. Don't know how long this is going on for. This could go on for an hour. We might be sitting here for an hour just waiting for the market to do something, but seems like it's got bored. So long that, short that. Still. Widen the stop percentage from 110 to 125 on the opening range. Think that's what kept you in, yeah. On those euros, yeah. Wider stops are always going to keep you in longer, especially if you're trying to trade like ADR moves. This is why I'm doing a lot of this testing on the opening range breakout. We know that the market spends 58% of its time within ADR. So if you look at a break and something that hits ADR, to be able to make money out of an ADR hit, if you want to make a decent amount, you can't really use a range higher than sort of a quarter of an ADR or a fifth of an ADR because it doesn't give you the move, doesn't give you the room. So scalping 1.5 ADR, 2 ADR is absolutely fine. You can use any range you like. But if you want to go for a good run, a 4R or a 5R return, you can't use more than a quarter to a third, a fifth to a quarter of an ADR. So the wider that stop is, the more breathing room you're going to give it for it to actually start its run. If you go in too tight, which is, we've had some amazing results on the ORBEA backtesting with tight stops, but it just will stop you out so much. It is frustrating as hell to trade. I think it's much nicer using a wider stop like this S&P. Yeah, this DAX, sorry, NASDAQ today. Look, I mean, it's just, and the Dow, it's a much nicer thing. Look at all this chop and whipsaw. No trailing stop, nothing. We just are literally, we've gone long and you can do what the hell you like. Are you going long or not? If you're going long, take me with you. If you're not, stop me out and go the other way. All that stuff that happens at the open, we're just giving it that little bit extra breathing room. And breakout strategies are good for that. This is yesterday's high and previous day's high. These two dotted lines here, you probably can't see them. Yeah. So potentially strong resistance level. If we can get that break, that's brilliant. Crude oil, minus 9.6 million off a forecast of -1. That's bullish oil. Look at that spread. Okay, long oil. I'm long oil. It hasn't actually touched my price, but I'm long oil because the spread got me in. Because you see the size of that spread? So I'm long. That's annoying. I'm only long because of the spread, look. Pending orders there. But that's premature long, really. But That is massively bullish. Big negative barrel count there. 9.3 on a forecast of 1.5. They were forecasting the barrel count to increase. It's decreased by 200% basically. So less oil, charge more for it, higher prices. Okay, so that high breaks, we've got that high to challenge. If we can break that high today, we're off and running. So got that advantage of we're rallying away from W reversal. There's your reversal alert. So this candle here, when this closes, will get your retest arrow. So that is your W reversal. So where we're going, who knows? Somewhere up. Just have to hold it as long as you can. That platform is frozen. Mumo, thanks for the time and effort you put into this. When will the new ORB under testing be published? I don't know if I'm going to publish it. There's no advantage to it yet. It is just a testing EA. I'm testing variables to see if there is an advantage in only taking certain breaks. It trades differently, but you can replicate everything I'm doing here in the current opening range breakout EA, as I've said earlier. I don't know if you were here earlier, Mumo, but you can replicate exactly what I'm doing here in the ORB EA. All you've got to do is use the minimum and maximum opening range filters and set these to ADR levels. I'm using 0.8 as a minimum ADR, and I'm using 0.2 as a maximum ADR. So if the opening range on the pre-market 5, 15, 10, post-market 5, 15, 10, whatever you want to trade, whatever range you decide you like to trade, all I'm saying is it's got to be at least 0.8 of an ADR so that we've got some space in the range to be able to get into the thing. And it can't be more than 0.2, i.e. 20% of the average daily range of the instrument, because if it's more than that, chances are we've done all the movement and we're just going to go into rotation. And if it's more than that, to get a 1.5 R, this thing has got to put in 3/4 of an ADR of movement. Yeah. So that's all I'm testing is because some of these ADRs, right? One of the things that has become really obvious using the opening range breakout EA is some of the winning days are not caused by anything but the fact that the range is that. Yeah, it's tiny. So you get an entry there and it's using something like 150 lots and it's going pop. One candle, TP. And that candle's going down to there, TP. Yeah, the only reason that profit is generated is because the opening range is tiny. The vast majority of the time with a tiny opening range, what happens is you get triggered on both of those trades and stopped out on both of them within minutes, and then the 5-minute candle puts its move in. So what I've done is I've tested on the 1-minute chart to see if it's worth leaving that first 1-minute candle alone and then incorporating that into the range. I found that didn't make any difference. So then I decided to test what opening ranges work and what don't. And I came up with that 0.8 and 0.2 as being, 0.08 and 0.2 as being the optimums for that. But the results that it gave me aren't better or worse than the results with the opening range breakout EA. They're just different. It takes different trades, but the overall return on drawdown is somewhere between 3 to 5 return on drawdown. Yeah, this is why I'm saying don't hang around for me to release this as a brand new product. You can do it's. I'm just verifying. Yes, the opening range breakout EA has a fantastic edge. I'm not improving it. I'm verifying it, and I'm just seeing if there's different conditions that will help. But you can do it all with the existing one. It just won't do it automatically based on ADR. But you know what the ADR's here, look. The ADR on the DAX, so if you want to calculate this yourself, yeah, it's very easy. So looking at the Dow here, ADR is 314, 31 points, yeah, 314, times 0.08 is. So minimum you want a range to be is 25. Yeah. 314 times 0.2 is 62. So the maximum you want it to be is 62. Yeah. So as long as the range is bigger than that and smaller than that, take a trade. That's literally all I'm doing. And you can put those into this all yourself. Don't know what the figures were. And obviously, depending on your broker, it would be 240 or 620. Tell that by measuring, look. So that is 240. That's about 600. Yeah, so the maximum range I'm interested in is something like that. The minimum range I'm interested in is something like that. And then for ADR, so I'm using 0.2 ADR as a stop loss. So you can see the long entries were there, stops were there. That's your range. So instead of using the other side of the range, 110% of it, I'm using 0.2 of an ADR. So your stops on the opening range breakout EA, you can't calculate those exactly. But if you want to use a wider stop where you've got 110%, if you put that to something like 150, 160%, 170%, all it's doing is a wider stop. I don't know which is the best. Like today is a perfect example, isn't it? If you look at today, this 0.2 wasn't the right one. 0.22 was the right one. Some days it's going to hit stops, other days it's not. This is totally random. TP hit on the NASDAQ. And the other thing that this EA does is as soon as TP1 is hit, it puts a break-even stop automatically on the second position, and then it will cancel off that opposite order. But again, you can do that in the current opening range breakout EA very easily. So your TP there is a percentage of the opening range, yeah, of your stop, basically. So if your stop is 150 or whatever, all you would do is you would set the break even, wherever it is, to true, and calculate roughly what it would be to break even the trade. So you can do this, but again, it doesn't work automatically on ADRs. But again, I'm not saying there is a perfect way to do it. There is no perfect way to do it. We know that. I've done upwards of 50,000 system parameter permutation tests on the opening range EA, on that EA. Virtually all of them come out in profit. None of them are better than the others. Same with this one. I've done all the system parameter permutation tests, thousands of them. They all are profitable. Some of them, like the test that I did with 0.2 today, stopped out with a double stop out. The test that I did with 0.3, basically, is hedged at the moment, long, and has just stopped out on the short, but is in profit at the moment on its long positions. Swings and roundabouts. Like I've always said with the opening range breakout EA, there is no perfect setting because you've no idea how to predict what the market's going to do. So don't fixate on this thing. It's literally the same as the opening range breakout strategy. It's got a few extra things in there. So if you are wanting to replicate this, you can do it in the opening range breakout EA, but you've also, don't forget, you've got this button in here. So if you look at this and go, oh, that's a bit of a tight range on the NASDAQ, I don't want it today. You go in there and you untick allow live trading and click OK, and it won't trade the NASDAQ for you. Very simple. There you go. You see, you're talking to Mumba about the overnight ranges in Asia. Okay. So Brian's trading a strategy based on the euro US dollar using the 4-hour Asian range. So this 4-hour Asian market as an ORB. So he's basically using the ORB EA in the Forex markets, but trading the Asian range breakout. So again, this opening range breakout EA, obviously all the documentation and everything I've put up about the ORB strategy is based on stock indices. So it's based on the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P, and the DAX, because we know when the open happens. But the ORB EA is just a breakout EA. You can use it on any market, and you specify any time frame you like, and it will take those breaks. People are using it to trade the London Open. As people constantly contacting me saying, can you trade the London Open with it? Yes, of course you can. When does the London open? You decide, because there isn't an open. So pick it, 8:30, for example. So you take the range from Asia to 8:30 a.m. UK. You bracket that. So all you do is you just change the settings in the EA to whatever you want. That's exactly what Brian's done. So that would be midnight to range end would be, for me, it would be 10:30. That would be 8:30 a.m. UK for my broker. And that will basically bracket the Asian session, and it will take a breakout for you on the Asian session. And then you set where you want your stop loss to be, etc., etc., etc. So you can use the ORBEA for any breakout strategy you ever find. It will just trade breakouts. That's all it does. It's just designed for indices, because that's where I think the edge is. Because the only reason that's moved there is because the opening bell in New York just rang. And we know that at that point, there's going to be a huge volume of orders coming in one direction or the other. That's the edge. Nobody knows which way. Nobody knows how far to put the stop. Nobody knows whether they should be using the 5-minute, the 15-minute, or the 5-minute open. Yeah. So whether you use the opening range breakout EA or the new version that I'm using here, this hasn't got any edge above anything else, because it doesn't know whether or not that range, being tiny, should be or shouldn't be traded today. Sometimes I've shown it in here many times. Look, we missed it yesterday, didn't we? Is it the NASDAQ we missed yesterday? It wasn't the NASDAQ. It might have been the Dow. Yeah, so the Dow, I mean, we made a beautiful profit at the ORB yesterday, but the Dow 5-minute, yeah, so the pre-market range on the Dow yesterday was there. If you'd have taken the pre-market 15, you'd have made even more money and much quicker. By the time we got there after 15 minutes, if you'd have taken that range, you'd have had something like an 8R return. But my version said, no, that's too tight. I'm not going to do it. It was wrong. Some days it'll be wrong. Some days it'll be right. Exactly the same as any strategy out there. It's not going to work. And whether it's my version or another version, doesn't matter. It's just random. I'm just trying to find out what the best random parameters to use are, if there is a better random, and I haven't found one. So stop fixating on it. You can if you want to, obviously. It's nice. But also interested in the inside bar recovery logic. Yeah, that's not even in this. This doesn't do inside bar recoveries. But you can do that with the Price Action Toolkit. Henrik asks, where XTI target? I don't know what that is. Are you talking about oil? Oil target. I haven't set a TP on it, but if you look at oil is in a descending high at the moment, so we're trading a descending wedge. So what you're going to find is all the trend line traders at some point in the next few days, when we get up to here, are all going to hit the sell button. Whether they can again have a 5th, 6th time to get it down, don't know. But that is where I would target. So somewhere around 200 ADR from where we are here. That high there would be a double top. It could go to that monthly high. It could come and test that high previously. It could scream all the way up to there. I've no idea. But I'm in there with my stop under there. So if I get up to there, that's about a 3R. I'm happy with that. If it gets to there, I'm about a 2R. And if it gets to there, I'll break even. So the way to, if you set yourself, when you're using any stop-based strategy, I don't trade stop-based strategies very often at all, as you know. When you're trading a stop-based strategy, if you limit yourself to a target, you will always have a fixed income that you can never make more than. So if, for example, oil now rallies up to, let's say from here, it basically does this today and doesn't go anywhere, right? If tomorrow it rallies up to there, for example, pound US dollars just hit 150 ADR, you can move your break even stop into place and it will either come down and break you even or it won't. It might just hover around, come back down and touch those lows. Yeah. If you set a TP there tomorrow or Friday, because that is where you're expecting the trend line people to get out, that's the maximum you can make. If it bounces off of that and it suddenly goes bang, bang up to there and we get a 200% ADR day on oil, which we have very often, yeah, you've just got out and limited your target. So you've no idea where this is going to go. So you've got to have a minimum risk reward on a trade for it to be viable. So you've got to have at least 1.5, 2R to even make the trade worth bothering to take, because you're always going to get 50% of your trades wrong. So if that's your stop, somewhere around that trend line is your minimum target. If that's what you want to do and take it there, absolutely fine. What I would do when it gets to there is put a stop somewhere up there to lock in 1.5R and hope it manages to get through. If it manages to get through to there, happy days. I'll leave that in place, and the minimum I can make on it is 1.5. But my maximum is 25 to 1. I've no idea what the maximum is. If this keeps rallying and suddenly oil goes through the roof, I want to be on board. So there is never a target, but targets, and this is why this indicator has all these lines on it, targets are always going to be weekly and monthly levels. Price reacts at weekly and monthly levels over and over and over again. Yeah, support and resistance. This is why this is bouncing here. It's not just luck. It's not just bouncing at 67.50 a barrel for any other reason than that's where they're buying oil. And they bought it again. Yeah, and if it comes back down, they'll probably buy it again. Why? Because that's where they're buying oil. They're selling oil here. So if it gets to there, that's probably a good place to sell as well, because that's where everybody else is selling. So just use support and resistance, propulsion gaps. Yeah, we can see where the market orders have come in. There's a big sell order came in there. 2 big sell orders came in there, followed by another big sell order. There was a huge sell order came in there. This is what the propulsion candle indicator is showing you, where the big market orders are. This big blue line here where they started to sell, every time they've rallied to it, they've sold it. They've sold it. They've sold it. Why did it bounce off of those levels? Because that's where they started selling it. Yeah. Sellers are defending their position short. Buyers don't want to go lower than that. These parties are fighting each other for price discovery levels. This is what we call an area of balance. At some point, this area of balance will break. Price discovery, long or short, will work and we'll start a rally, a trend. We don't know. So you've just got to look at where it reversed from previously. That's your target. Nobody knows where it's going to reverse, so nobody knows where to put your target. Just use your head and use a logical area that makes sense. It doesn't make sense, if that's where we turned last time, to try and target anything higher than that. If you hit that level and you see a whacking great shooting star, get out. But if you hit that level and you see price paint a bullish candle at that high and then an inside bar followed by a higher high and a higher low, don't get out. Price action. Watch when you get there. But if you want to set a TP, those are where I would be looking. But personally, I would leave it. The thing that you got to remember is, like, you wake up some mornings and you've got a massive P&L. And the reason the massive P&L is there, if you ever forgotten to put a target, forgotten to put a TP in, and suddenly it's gone way beyond your TP and you're like, oh, close it, brilliant. Imagine if you did that every time, how much more money you would have made in your trading career. You limit your downside, definitely, but don't limit your upside, because you've no idea if Russia is suddenly going to fire a missile from Belarus into Ukraine over NATO territory and start World War III. What do you think oil prices are going to do? Would you rather be in that long, or would you rather have TP'd there? Yeah, no idea. Just don't limit your upside. Always limit your downside, but don't limit your upside. Pushing 5R, palms getting clammy. So yesterday's low. Yeah. Look at what's happening at yesterday's low. Exactly at yesterday's low. We've rallied into it. Limit orders have just triggered. Where does the market buy? Yesterday's high, yesterday's low. There's limit orders always triggering at highs and lows of the days, because every institutional trader that's looking at the daily chart is watching daily highs and lows for entries. That's why we get a lot of rejection at those levels, because limit orders trigger and drive the market back up. Why? Because that's what it did yesterday. So the guys that went long yesterday, if they're still long, they don't want to go short, they want to go long. So they'll buy it up again, unless there's more people wanting to sell it. So this is why the limit order triggers work, and why you find candles have wicks on the top and the bottom, because the limit orders will have triggered at some point to drive the market back away, and you close below those levels. So if you want to get out, he's already out. Don't blame me if it goes lower, Brian. But, you know, again, always wait for a candle to close, yeah? This candle's not closed. We've got another 2 minutes left on this candle, yeah? Right? If this closes bearish below that level, it could continue to go down. However, if it closes bearish below that level and then suddenly you get a bullish engulfing, yeah, buyers are stepping in, yeah? All these candles is doing, every time you see a candle painted, all that information is who is in control in that period of time, whether it be a minute, a 5 minute, an hourly, a 30 minute, a 4 hourly, a daily, whatever the candlestick is you're looking at. All it's doing is telling you whether the bulls won that round or the bears won that round. It's got absolutely nothing to do with who's going to win the next one. But if you're at a level where the bulls started a move from, and you get to that level and the bulls win that round, that should tell you that there's a possibility we might be getting out. The danger is you're wrong and the next candle is a bear and it floods and it just goes, it disappears. The other danger is that you ignore that, the bulls won, and then they put in a whacking great candle like that, and before you know it, you're there, you were there, so you had all that profit and you've just lost half of it because of one candle. So you've got to get out at some point. And if 5R is enough, which it is a very, very good trade, obviously, then that's what you want. Your entry today was there. So that was your entry. You've sat through that, going nowhere all day. You were going, hoo-hoo, look, we've made a new low. Oh, no, we've come back up. I'm now in drawdown. Your stop loss is there. Almost hit your stop loss. Bearish engulfing, reversal alert, back down, beautiful. So I'd say that's well deserved and probably a good place to get out. You've sat through hell, get paid. There you go. So that 5 minute candle closed bullish. Well, it's a spinning top. Indecision. So what comes in a 3-bar reversal? Bear, indecision, bull. So watch this candle on the 5 minute. If this now cannot make a new low, or makes a new low, rejects, and then pushes up and closes bullish, that tells you for the last 10 minutes, they've been buying that level. So if they've been buying it for 10 minutes and you're in 5R, You just got to use your heads. And this is why, I always say every EA that you ever use should always be used as a semi-automation of you. Let it get you in and out automatically so you don't have to watch the charts all day. But when you're in a trade, it's down to you whether or not you get in and out of positions, or whether you let the EA take a trade and go, actually, no, don't fancy that anymore. Cancel it. Get rid of it. The odds are always 50-50, aren't they? So good trade, though, again today. What was yesterday's? 125 ADR. So there's more ADRs going off. Still waffling. Well, they look like they're having fun. They look like they're about to go down the pub afterwards, don't they? Having a nice chat together. Nothing exciting. Okay, Dow's retesting the lows. DAX has just fallen out of bed. NASDAQ still rallying. $1,000 down on the day, $2,800 in floating profit. So again, same thing. We're $1,000 down so far on the DAX and the S&P. We're sitting in $2,800 or $2,900 in profit on the Dow and the NASDAQ. What do? Do you want to bank $2,000 now, or would you rather let this play out for continuation rally? Again, the EA will make all these decisions for you if you do not intervene. Yeah. So the way the Dow's going at the moment, I'm not looking to close that, because if we break that low, we're going to flush and we're going to go hard. That's about to hit TP. If that hits TP, we're going to lock in profit. Basically can't lose today. So whatever this does today, that will be the profit when that hits. You're not going to do it, are you? It's going to hold that low. Watch. Okay, TP hit. Stop loss move to break even. So can't lose. Sell stop cancelled. One of the other logics that I've built in, which isn't triggering, is that sell stop should cancel automatically when we move to break even. I know why. I've just changed the logic on that. I know why that is. Here you go, look. So what's that telling you? Wait for this candle to close. You've got a minute left. Yeah. Hit the lows from yesterday. They bought them. Tried to rally through. Buyers are buying up yesterday's low. Yeah. Wicks. So good opportunity for a long. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Who knows? Flip a coin. Till what time frame does your propulsion indicator display the gaps? I can see mine on the 1 and 5 minute time frame only. It's all time frames. Whatever you switch to, it shows you the propulsion gaps for that time frame. So it just automatically adjusts to show you the propulsion gaps for the time frame you're viewing. Doesn't change anything. There's some news just coming from Powell. Again, that's pretty bullish US. I don't see us getting back to 2% inflation this year or next year. So all the way through 2014, 2024 even, not getting back to target. So 2025. So these interest rates are here to stay. 2026 is when we should probably start to reduce interest rates based on what they've been saying recently. So again, that's bullish US. See what the profit is on that now. So close profit is break even basically. So Got a $2,000 runner, so can't lose any money today. Got a potential 2 to whatever grand runner on that. Very nice. So that US dollar's rallying, Euro US dollar's coming down. That's why it's always good as well. Wait until candle close. Don't take trades when the candles haven't closed. Yeah, that candle, when I was talking about it a minute ago, looked massively bullish, didn't it? Look how it closed, massively bearish, and it closed below that level, which means that the buyers that are trying to buy up yesterday's low have failed. There's more sellers than buyers, therefore this thing's going to carry on down. So, next level, ADR, previous day's low. So if yesterday's low wasn't able to be bought up, next level they'll try and buy up is the previous day's low. Then they're waiting to get down to next week and try and buy last week's low. So all support resistance. All the market does is move from support to resistance and back again. Had a nice run up yesterday, didn't look back. Oh yeah, yesterday I was talking about, wasn't I? Yeah. So yesterday's break was very nice as well. Look. That's the 4-hour Asian Open. That was ADR as well, wasn't it? 75, yeah, ADR. So ADR is 76. So again, price moved up to ADR, bounced straight off of ADR. Perfect. And ADR as well, confluence. Look, ADR today is exactly yesterday's low. Market moves in ADR. That's what it does. Always going to find confluence. There you go. They're buying this level up. Look. Just trying really hard. So we got a low there, high. This comes an inside bar, and then we break that inside bar to the upside. Sellers will run out of steam. Basic price action. Cool. We should look at that every day. Although every backtest I've done doesn't work, so that's the annoying thing about it. It looks like it works every day, doesn't it? That day was a nightmare, look. You didn't actually get a break. That was the break of that day, look. Pretty much in New York. And then it literally just came out and sat there. But look at that day. That was news though, wasn't it? So that was 107 pips off of a 76 ADR, 125 ADR. It's good, does work. Again, trade it with the ORB and then manually manage it like Brian is. NASDAQ, Dow's out of the lows now, as we know. So let's see if we can get a rally down on the Dow. Dow potential downside target is going to be ADR. Yesterday's low, ADR. Got propulsion there, but that's kind of a V-shaped move, so it's not really an accumulation break. You might find buyers step in there because that was the first buy move. Happened in New York. This is the open of New York, obviously. So we might find they buy that level up. We're looking to push back up into there, but more likely come back down into there today. Right, I'll leave it there. Everything's covered today. So we'll see how we get on with these yens. This is the main, look at that beautiful hourly candle on the yen. So all these yens basically, again, another big down candle. So it really looks like we're getting some strength starting to build up. The market is listening by the looks of things. We need that US dollar to calm down though, because if that US dollar yen keeps rallying, that's what's going to cause the intervention. So we'll keep an eye on that. Watch Financial Juice to see if there's any more news coming out this afternoon. See us getting 2% core inflation by 2025. So back to normal, basically, 2025, which means interest rates should get somewhere back in the region of 2.5, maybe. Sort of midline as to where we've gone from minimum to maximum is where you would expect inflation to settle or interest rates to settle. We won't see those 0.25% again. That was just COVID. So we got another 2 or 3 years worth of uncertainty ahead of us. It's going to be fun. I'll navigate that. Right, I'll be back tomorrow at 7:50, same time for the Frankfurt session and 2:20 for New York. We'll obviously do the ORBs again tomorrow, see if we can get some more movement out of that DAX. Anything you need will be in Telegram. Yeah, hopefully all these moves that have just kicked off over the last couple of days just continue, and off we go. So, all right, so have a good one. I'll be back tomorrow and see you then. Have a good day.